Hey, Tim Sykes here. It is a Friday. Sorry I didn't get to do a video lesson yesterday. Kind of a crazy day for me, but I have a loss today and I want to talk about it. I don't want to hide it. I want to really dissect it and see what I did wrong and learn from those of you who went against me and what you guys did right. I'm very proud that many students banked while I actually lost because they were right and I broke my own rules and I didn't realize it until too late. And that's the beauty of being a transparent teacher. I don't want you following my alerts. I don't want you following anybody's alerts. It's all about learning to think on your own. I can share rules and patterns, and sometimes I'm going to break them. Sometimes I'm stupid. I don't mean to. I'm not like, oh, let me have a loss. Let me purposely break my rules so that'll be a good lesson. No, I go into every trade trying to do the best that I can, but sometimes I just don't see it all. And, it happens. So let's talk about CLRB. So this is the big spiker today from 120 basically to 240 plus 100%. They had some minor news, and it's really just not that big news, and that was my problem. I started analyzing the value of the news instead of focusing on the price action. In my DVDs, what do I say? I specifically say do not short on Friday morning squeezes. They can go further than you think. And I knew that in the back of my mind, but I still thought that even because the news wasn't so great, I thought that this spike was overdone. I thought, oh, this is probably just going up too much because it's a Friday and people are excited. And, several other chat rooms were pumping it, saying this could spike more. And so I thought all of that, this was overdone. And as it turned out, it wasn't because, again, it's a Friday. So I lost roughly $1,000. But I'm still up 4,000 on the week, which is pretty good for my small account, of roughly 45,000. So basically a 10% gain on the week. Remember, I started this year with just 12,000, so now I've nearly quadrupled my account in the first 5 months of the year. And I've had a lot of small gains. PRGN, I was aiming for a breakout yesterday, past the resistance in the 190s, didn't get it, so I sold carefully. This morning, actually, pre-market, PRGN was up nicely. I should mention it was, in the 217, 215 range, but it wasn't really a big, strong breakout. This is where penny stock trading and trading in particular, it's not an exact science. You have a lot of teachers out there and they claim, oh, trading is so easy. Just buy the breakouts and short the breakdowns and, that's all you got to do. But there's a reason why most traders don't share their trades transparently, because even if you get a perfect breakout, you can clearly see yesterday's high was 2, and then in the afternoon it couldn't get above 195, 196. So it's a clear breakout pre-market. But what did I say this morning? This is the beauty of time-stamped commentary. Where was my commentary? I have too many web pages. Let's see, Tim Alerts. Oh my God, this is going to take forever. Silver homepage. Is it going to show my commentary? Yes. Good. So here's my commentary so far today. And I like that it's time-stamped. Again, I'm not always going to be right, but you can tell what I'm saying. And so this was at 9:25 a.m. and I said MGT and PRGN both are up a little pre-market, but not convincing morning spikes. Anyways, sorry, I had to pause it for a second because my little puppy just woke up and she's right here. She needs attention. But long story short, when a stock breaks out past its former highs, it needs to be convincing if you are buying some speculative piece of crap, which is basically what MGT and PRGN both are. So pre-market in my chat room, I specifically warned that even though they're up pre-market, even if they're technically breakouts over the previous day, I still wasn't buying. And that turned out to be probably the best call of the day. I don't know if I would go so far as to short because sometimes, these breakouts are meaningful. But for me, it's all about odds. And the odds are not good enough buying a pre-market breakout. It's got to hold the breakout and build on the breakout at the market open. And as you can see, PRGN could not do that. So yesterday when I was buying it, where was it? Like somewhere in here in the 170s. I thought that it could break out. So I guess I could have played it a little better, but for me, if you look at what's really grown my account, it's not when I'm like a little right. Like if I'm buying it at 170, what was my entry? Like 170, I think 175 yesterday. I don't even know. I've been trading. I've been over trading. Let me see. What was my entry? Oh, I averaged up 178. Yeah. So, these kinds of gains, if I'm in at 184 and out at 190 on the failure to break out, or if I had timed it perfectly today, and held overnight and gotten out at like 215, yeah, I could have made more money. But I don't like when I'm going into a stock and it can't break out definitively. That's probably why, you see many traders with bigger losses than me, or, a lot of traders who are scared to show their track records publicly because they do have bigger losses. I'm not scared to trade, and I'm not scared to, show everything because I really, really play it extra safe. I gave it plenty of time yesterday to break out, and it just couldn't. And that is what prevented me from holding overnight. So, and the same thing with MGT, where, yesterday this thing is trying to rebound, but it just can't. I mean, it's tried, ever since the big crash from 5 to the 2s, it's tried 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce, 4 bounce, 5 bounce, 6 bounce, 7 bounce, and today was the 8th bounce, and they've all failed. And this is straight out of my penny stocking framework DVD. The 7-step framework is still working better than ever, which is crazy. And, if a stock can't bounce definitively, it's just not going to be that interesting to me. And MGT could not bounce definitively. It tried. It tried right at the open, but it just, even here at 315, it was up like 10, 15 cents a share. If you're going to have a big Friday short squeeze, you need to really spike like CLRB has done. So anyways, that was my trade on PRGN. I don't care if I make or lose $100. There's a lot of people out there that think like, oh, that's the secret, making $100 at a time. It's about being right in no matter what you're betting, making a good percentage, making 10, 20, 30, 40% on your money. Plus or minus 2, 3, 4% does not matter. And I know that's tough for people to accept. I know that I teach in a kind of different way, but to actually become a millionaire in this niche, you have to think a little different. And little scratches, even CLRB. I mean, I let this one go a little bit too much. Part of the problem was that I was shorting it too early, thinking that, it's up on useless news. It's up because stocks like to spike on Friday, but eventually reason is going to come back into the market. And I was content on adding all the way up. I was going to short some at 150, some in the 170s, some in the 190s, and just average up and cover when it cracked. I theoretically might have been able to break even. That was about it, because it did come down from like 210-ish down to 175-ish. So there was 30, 35 cents a share of downside in here. But long story short, I was wrong. It's still going up. It's still a Friday short squeeze. It's a low float short squeeze. It's traded 15 million shares now. So at best, I could have broken even if I had kept averaging up. But the problem was Interactive Brokers ran out of shares to short. So it's tough when you're trying to short a stock and you have limited available shares. So I let this one go a little bit and I lost 17% roughly. So, not the best trade, but more importantly, I protected myself. I'm still up $4 on the week and it's not the end of the world. So when you have, losses, you really have to try and contain them. And more than just me turning 12,000 into 45,000 in 5 months, I've really contained my losses. I think this is probably my biggest loss of the year, or close to it. So just think about that whenever you're trading. You can be wrong, but if you cut your losses, it's not the end of the world. I also have to talk about this. This weekend, I'm writing a blog post about what it's actually like to live the millionaire lifestyle with my Ferraris and Lamborghinis and mansions and trips around the world and charity. And there's a lot of confusion out there and there's a lot of assumptions, and I haven't really explained it that well. I talked a little bit about this with Larry King a few months back, but there's just so much more to go into and not enough millionaires really want to talk about it. So it leads to a lot of rumors and lies And I just want to kind of clear it up because I think it's obviously good to become a millionaire, but it's also good to get the realities of the situation out there. Stuff that, little 10-second videos or photos can't really detail. So get excited to go to timothysykes.com this weekend. I also got to give props to my man, Adam F. He does a charity bike race for cancer research every year. Last year, I think he raised $15,000. The year before, he raised $10,000. This year, his goal was $20,000. So, I've been doing pretty good. I have my own charity foundation now, so I donated $6,000 to him. Not out of my foundation, just because when you have a foundation, this is one of the things I'm going to be writing about. There's a lot of rules when you have your own charity foundation, as I do. So my foundation could not donate to his bike race. So I just donated, $6,000 of my own money, and I'm proud of him. So go to my Twitter. He's still raising money, and you can see this link, and I encourage you to help him out too. He's a great financial writer too, if you ever follow him on biotech stocks. I got to give props to Stefano, though. This was awesome. His second daughter was born 3 days ago. Congrats to that. Piccolina, that's an amazing name. And, he sold PRGN very well pre-market. So you can make money, but it's just tough when there's not a convincing breakout. And making 20 cents a share, that's a good 10% gain, but it's not going to pay for your daughter's, college. So lock in profits when you get a breakout, but the breakout isn't really convincing. So props to Stefano. I'm really proud of him. Tim Bertani, I have to write a blog post in a little bit. He made $66,000 on MGT shorting it, and he's going to do a video early next week, as he said. But I'm going to do a blog post if I can right now, trying to predict how he made it, because it's kind of cool when you have a trader who shares all of his patterns transparently and all of his trades transparently, and you can kind of piece together what he's done right and what he's done wrong. And this is a classic Tim Bertani type pattern on MGT. So props to him. On MGT I only made roughly $1,000, but I had a good cover right near the lows. And a lot of people are asking me, how did I know to cover MGT in the 250s yesterday? And it was because I keep it very simple. I don't use VWAP or Fibonacci or any of that bullshit. I just look at specifically highs and lows. So when the crash came from 550 down to 230-ish, that was the low. And, I was right that it would have a little morning panic yesterday, but it held the low. So you have this double bottom, the stock is down 50%, and I'm not going to be aggressive. There are some shorts that get aggressive. They're like, this company is worthless, it should go down to zero. I'm never going to cover. And I think that's wrong. If a stock drops 50%, obviously it could have another morning panic and it could go down further. But if it shows itself that it's not going to panic, you take profits. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I actually, was not supposed to cover in the middle of the day or at all in the day, because I'm out of day trades for my small E-Trade account. And they warned me, if you do another day trade, you're going to be on 90-day restriction. From what I hear now, several students say they have a one-time exception, so I can call them. But also another student reminded me that, my Interactive Brokers account is pretty big now. So if I make a few thousand more, I can just split them and put 25,000 into E-Trade and 25,000 into Interactive Brokers and not have to worry about the PDT rule at all. I still have to make a few thousand before that can happen. But long story short, some of you guys are afraid of wasting a day trade, so you don't, and you're afraid of the restriction. I don't want to let my own personal situation interfere with the patterns. So if I have to go on 90-day restriction to lock in a profit, I'm going to do it every single time, and I'm going to accept the consequences, because MGT is a very volatile stock. Who knows, if you don't cover it into this drop, maybe it goes back to 450 and you still don't want to cover, and then you have like a $1,500 loss where you could have had like a $500 profit, and now you're really pissed off because now it's a $2,000 swing. So when you have profits where it's nearly hit your goal, making 50 cents a share for me on a short is pretty good on a $2-3 stock. And when it shows signs of bottoming, it didn't go all the way back up, but if I held overnight, I have no $500 profit, and it's right back at 3-ish where I shorted. So I'm going to lock in profits no matter the consequences. I'll figure the consequences out later. But for me as a trader, for me as a teacher, I always am focused on the process of trying to do good trades and worrying about everything else later. You know, a lot of what I do in teaching is doing good trades, you know, when, you know, selling after 20 minutes on a trade because the breakout failed, or selling after 3 hours or whatever, and saying in the alert, I want to hold overnight, but then, you know, the stock shows signs of double topping. I change my mind. That is the beauty of trading. You know, so I know that it's confusing for some people because outsiders say, hey, you said you were going to hold overnight. But if the stock shows signs of double topping and I'm buying the stock, I'm going to get out because that's the right way to be. Traders, you don't have to like stay and stick to commentary when the price action changes your mind. We're not politicians. Okay, politicians get ripped on all the time for flip-flopping because theoretically they're supposed to stay principled to the same principles. But traders, you can adapt to price action. So this is a very important point. And I also got to give props to my students, Alex, who made 9,000, and Ely, who made 3,000. Ely had a nice short at 302 and covered in the 260s, 270 area. And then he also looks like shorted RPRX and made like 5 cents a share. But this was a good short on MGT by Ely. Here's Bryce. He was actually buying XGTI, which is a total junker, but he made 900 bucks, so good job to Bryce. Here's Alex, and he made 3,000 shorting MGT. You can see here he was shorting it. This is all E-Trade, by the way, at 290-ish and covering at 260. I actually did better than they did on my covers, even though I had a smaller position. So pretty cool. Sometimes that happens. And then he was shorting, you know, in the 350s and covering in the 280s. So he's making 70 cents a share. And then, you know, shorting here in the 290s and covering at 260. So he's making 30 cents a share. So, you know, now up 9,000 in 2 days. And I just want you to see the potential here, and see, you know, why I think trading is so great, because any single one of you can make this. I know that when you have a small account, it seems like an impossible feat. But it's not. You build up your account, you take advantage of these volatile plays, and, you know, you grow it over time. You know, Tim Grittani did not start with the ability to make 66,000. He started with just 1,500 of his own money roughly 5 years ago. But he's built his account up. Now he can take bigger bets. And if you look at his trade and you see, you know, basically what he did, he just made $1 a share. Okay, so he's making 20%, but he's just taking a big ass position because he's seen this pattern so far. And this, again, you know, he says, you know, many of his trades got merged here. So this wasn't all one trade. He didn't bet, you know, $500,000. But overall, he made roughly $1 a share. And overall, you know, he shorted roughly 70,000 shares. So this is how it's done. If you short 100 shares at 460 and cover at 360, it's the same exact trade. And the key to becoming a millionaire and a multimillionaire is just averaging up your position size. So whether I make 1,000 or Alex makes 9,000 or Ely makes 3,000, we're all thinking the same kinds of patterns. Here's Eric. He's building his own house with his trading profits. He's up 1640. He posts some pictures of his house, of his upcoming house. Where is his pictures? He posted, here's his house. So he's building it, you know, and it's gradually coming together, and he's using his trading profits to do it. So awesome job, Eric. Here's Ron, had his first short on MGT, just 1,000 shares, very similar trade to mine, and he made 400 bucks, and he's pumped. And you should be, Ron, because you have started the process. Here's Van Ryan, made 250 on the day yesterday. I think he made another few hundred today. I think I saw him post something. Where was it? I don't know. There's too many people. Here's Denny, made 400 yesterday. Matt, this is sweet. He made like 11 grand the other day and 4 grand the other day, and so he's executing PRGN, a breakout play, from his phone because he was busy, and he made 1,000 bucks, but apparently like he didn't have a good execution because he's, you know, trying to trade on his phone. That happens sometimes, but I'm glad that he's integrating trading into his life. Here's Matthew. I'm going to give you a follow for this because he had his biggest gain yet. Bought LINE at 0.14 and sold it today. Am I the only one to retweet this? Okay, others. I had to update it. You know, bought it at 14 cents, sold it at 20 cents. So a lot of people rip on penny stocks like, oh, they're all junk, you should never buy them. But if you can do this, this was on my watch list today as a potential buy. And, you know, it goes from 14 cents to 24 cents. You nearly double your money in what, like an hour. You know, 14 cents at 9:30 in the morning. I probably should have recognized this and bought the breakout in here at like 15 cents and, you know, sell it, make 50% on your money in, what is this, 45 minutes. Awesome job to anybody who traded line today. This is the beauty of penny stocks. I know that a lot of people rip on it, but guess what? It adds up over time. Here's Van Ryan, made 180 bucks on ORIG today. And made, you know, roughly 8%. That was his other trade. So props to Van Ryan. Props to all of you guys. You know, we're using the volatility of these plays, and we're just trying to increase our accounts. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not about luck. It's not about manipulation. Sometimes you go long. Sometimes you go short. Sometimes you have a big position. Sometimes you have a small position. But the way to build your account and get better over time is to study these patterns, study the catalysts, see what really works and, you know, what doesn't. Accept the fact that sometimes you're going to be wrong, like I was on CLRB. Cut your losses quickly. I should never get any emails from anybody saying, oh, I lost everything. Don't use leverage. Don't be too aggressive. Don't try and make $1 million all in day one or week one or even month one or probably not even year one. Understand that it takes time. Don't feel bad if everyone in your life is ripping on you for trading penny stocks. Trust me, I've been there, but, you know, I've changed a lot of people's minds of that. And a lot of my top students now are changing more people's minds. If for any reason you doubt me or you doubt these rules or you doubt these stocks, simply do not subscribe to me. It is fine. I will not be offended. I do not take offense. I understand that there is a lot of hatred and bitterness and ignorance and laziness out there, and I don't have time for any of that shit. You know, it's hard enough for me to create a millionaire from scratch, even if you are so dedicated. So if you're not dedicated, if you have doubts, if you're trying to pay next month's rent, don't bother applying for my trading challenge. Don't bother wasting my time or yours because you don't have the right mindset. And frankly, you know, I just need dedicated students. I know it sounds corny. I know it's cliche, but it's true. Dedicated students is all I am looking for. And it doesn't matter where you are. Hold on. That was Superman giving an alert. Superman's another self-made millionaire on Profitly. He just came up with his first millionaire student too. So I'm filming this in the middle of the day. Sometimes there's going to be alerts. But seriously, I really want to, you know, drive this point home. Do not expect me to be right 100% of the time. Do not expect me to be embarrassed when I'm wrong. Do not expect me to have extra patience for you if you're unsure and I have to try and convince you to study. I don't have time for that shit. I'm too busy trading, making watch lists, making video lessons, writing blog posts, working on stocks to trade, working on investimonials, working on 2 new books and 2 new TV shows. I have a lot of shit. Not to mention actually living and enjoying my life with my fiance and my puppy and traveling all over the world. So I want to be very clear here, crystal clear, because I get a lot of people saying, why are you a certain way? Why do you do this? If you have to ask why, don't fucking waste my time. If you get offended by my swearing, don't fucking waste my time. I am here for one reason only, looking for dedicated students, and I am going to give you every single thing that I've learned about the stock market if you are dedicated. You're going to have to watch a lot of videos. You challenge students. You guys have a lot of archive webinars, not just from me, but also Tim Grattani, Mark Crook, and Michael Good. And if you add up all of our profits, it's roughly learning from 4 traders who have made roughly $10 million in the past few years. So there's quite a bit of experience there between the 4 of us. And that is the beauty of my trading challenge, because you're not just learning from me, you're learning other students who have now made my strategy their own and built on it. Tim Grattani is now, you know, shorting a lot of the plays that I like to buy, and that's fine. Sometimes he's right. Sometimes we can both be right. Mark Crook is using options, and Michael Good, uses all kinds of crazy techniques. So that's it. And I'm kind of sad that I lost money today. I'm still on the lookout for other trades, but I'm not going to revenge trade. I don't need to be green every single day. I accept the fact that sometimes I'm wrong. I'm glad that I cut losses on CLRB because now it's roughly $1 a share higher, and I could have, a $5,000 loss if I wanted to be stubborn. So small losses are not the end of the world. They suck, but at the same time, I have the right mindset. I have the same mentality as always, and I'm going to be looking for more good trades, long or short. Thank you.